The Biden-Harris administration are inflating our national debt by over $1 trillion every 3 months. Do you see this as potentially becoming exponential?
We will see a second wave of high inflation. This all leads at the end to hyperinflate the debt. This is the only solution. This is done intentionally. The Biden administration, they have done this intentionally for three to 4 years now. No way out. Even if you have a change in the government, is no way out. You only can go to more inflation, but inflation has a high cost.
Dr. Metzler, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on Kamala Harris's plan for a 25% unrealized capital gains tax?
Unrealized capital gains.
Yeah. Kamala Harris is proposing a 25% unrealized capital gains tax on a net worth of over $100 million. Yeah. How do you think, ultra rich, ultra wealthy individuals would feel about that?
I think it's very hard to measure these unrealized gains. There will be then some tricks to hide it. People will move assets out to tax havens, and so I think it is not a good idea.
What do you think would happen to the 99%?
Actually, they have to pay more, so it's counterproductive. Better to reduce the taxes than to increase it on capital. Is not a good idea.
They claim it's for the ultra wealthy individuals, but as you know, the income tax here in the United States was originally ultra wealthy individuals, and it only took 2 years for the government to amend that law and make it applicable to the middle class. The slippery slope fallacy, as they call it, is more of a reality in this case. Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote for hiring and funding 87,000 new IRS agents. The majority of those 87,000 new IRS agents are targeting the middle class opposed to the rich, which they originally claimed. What are your thoughts on the current situation with the Japanese yen carry trade?
Japan is a ticking time bomb. We have seen a drop of, I think, more than 10% in one day as the Japanese central bank raised the interest rates to 0.25. This was very crazy. It's the tip of the iceberg. At that day, the carry trade got a shock and run off the market and tried to reverse the trades. And we had seen this immense drop. This was the tip of the iceberg. So the carry trades are still there. The issue in Japan is central bank holds more than 50% of government bonds themselves. That is the biggest investor in ETFs, and it's driving the equity market. Doing this artificially, the interest rates had been kept down for more than a decade. Ticking time bomb for the global economy is a domino to fall in the global financial meltdown. Currently, we are in the fourth phase of the global financial meltdown. As I mentioned in our last video, we are currently facing kind of a commercial real estate debt crisis and a credit crunch.
How do you think that the collapse of commercial real estate bleeds into the residential real estate market?
Within the next 2 years, 1.5 trillion loans will mature and have to be refinanced. Almost 10% of these loans are already in distress. The problem is the banks in the US are already in the crisis because of the high interest rates. They hold 514 billion of unrealized losses in the balance sheets.
514 billion, $500 billion.
Yeah. And 63 banks are in deep trouble. And the next quarter we will hear, I think soon, the next quarter will be reported soon. And I think it will get worse. Two things come together, the credit mortgage crisis, the high interest rates, And then also the high interest on residential property, private clients failing in paying their mortgage because of the high interest rates. So all this together in the U.S. economy, as other economies in the West are already suffering. And that's the reason why the Fed wants to lower the interest rates. And we will see this very soon. Yeah.
Do you think the Fed may lower interest rates in September, as they're hinting at?
Yes, I think so. But this inflation rate is, according to my opinion, is fake. I'm coming back from a 3-week trip on the West Coast. I was shocked in the supermarket the prices. I haven't been in the US for 1 year and was crazy. The real inflation is higher than what is the official inflation rate. It's necessary to give a good reason to lower the interest rates right now. Yeah.
Currently, the Biden-Harris administration are inflating our national debt by over $1 trillion every 3 months. Do you see this as potentially becoming exponential?
We will see a second wave of high inflation. This all leads at the end to hyperinflate the debt. This is the only solution. This is done intentionally. The Biden administration, they have done this intentionally for three to 4 years now. No way out. Even if you have a change in the government, is no way out. You only can go to more inflation, but inflation has a high cost. So we have seen this in Germany 100 years ago. Society broke. We had riots, a revolution, and this is a threat to the society because if you hyperinflate, the middle class is losing. So the rich people, they still have enough, but the lower income and the middle class is without any assets, and that's very hard.
So inflation hurts the middle class more than it hurts the top 10%, is what you're saying.
Yeah. How can you prepare yourself? As mentioned in earlier videos, buy tangible assets, gold, silver, even gold mines. So gold mines is future gold. I think the gold mine sector is very low valued at the moment.
Gold and silver miners, the mining companies, are undervalued, is what you're saying. Fundamentally, they're extremely undervalued and have a lot of upside. You've been on the channel now several times, and the community and I here, retail investors, greatly appreciate you and your insights. We're blessed to have PhD economists such as yourself to be able to look out for us. I remember when we first started talking, you told us that silver and gold were a good investment. Since then, we've seen silver go from $17 or so per ounce up to as high as $32 and change, almost a 100% gain in the price. So it does seem like silver is beating inflation.
But it's still cheap, yeah. So each piece of gold is sold 500 times. Once the central banks are questioned about the creditworthiness, the economies like Japan or the US, then people want to see the gold, yeah, and
they want to be able to hold it and have real, actual metal.
It's not there, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you invest in physical gold, or that you are sure that you have access to the physical gold. The gold is, and the silver is sold naked short, yeah. We will see a short squeeze in gold and silver. It will take a while, but we will see it. It's still cheap. It's recommended to still invest continuously into tangible assets.
Do you think that a pullback in gold and silver would occur before a short squeeze?
Yes, but not to large extent. It will be a panic because they will see that the gold is not available. People will panic, and then the short squeeze can start. So the $10,000 an ounce is reachable.
Only 4% of precious metals derivatives contracts are actually traded on lit markets. That's actually visible to the everyday American, everyday investor worldwide. So you're saying that you do expect a pullback before a major run in these assets.
The central banks will try to manipulate the price as long as they can, yeah. But if they cannot, short squeeze will happen, you know.
So you're saying banks manipulate the price of assets and equities?
Yes, yes.
Why do you think that so many people are still unaware of that?
So because it happens through the ETFs, the ETF markets, they can manipulate it very easily, the prices. Yeah.
Do you think the reason that the new Bitcoin ETFs have been created is in order to manipulate and control the price of Bitcoin?
Yes, the big market, and BlackRock and the others just started to explore this market, and is a good investment because more and more institutional investors will go into it. But it's backed by nothing. Yes, you have to keep that in mind. So gold and silver is at the end the better investment. On a way to hyperinflation, but in the midterm. So the equity markets, the Bitcoin price will benefit from it, but the bond markets you should avoid. Yeah. So do not buy bonds, buy equities and Bitcoins. But at the end, the better investment will be gold, silver, and gold mines.
Amen to that. You mentioned the bond market, and the yield curve was inverted, has been inverted for the longest time frame ever. Back in 2008, I believe the yield curve was inverted for about 16 straight months before the disinversion, the rate cuts, and then the massive stock market corrections that we saw over the coming, months and years. What do you think currently, with the yield curve being inverted for the last 22 months, is now finally starting to reach a disinversion point? How do you feel that the disinversion of the yield curve is going to lend itself a factor in the bond market?
So the rate cuts will have an impact, but slower than expected. Yeah. So I told you at the beginning, we are in a kind of a credit crunch. So even with lower interest rates, it's not guaranteed that this will help. Central bank in Japan, they have to increase the interest rates. I think they are still on the way to increase it, not to decrease it. It has serious impacts on the market, also on the forex markets. For example, if you look at the Mexican peso, went to 16 pesos per dollar, and then after the carry trades had been unwind, it went back to 20. Yeah, so it's crazy. It was an impact the Japanese carry trades. It's unpredictable what it can cost the global economy. Still see some surprises very soon.
Basically has to raise rates. Do you think that if the Federal Reserve reduces rates, it would have a similar impact on the carry trade in the unwinding and the selling off of assets here in America due to the arbitrage with the Japanese yen being affected from the change in United States interest rates?
The lowering of the U.S. Interest rates will have such an impact on the carry trades. Is more the refinancing capabilities. So I think the trigger are the Japanese interest rates. I think when the trigger is further increase in Japan would have more impact than lowering the US rates, because you could invest in other assets other than US government bonds.
That's a great point. So is it looking more and more likely that the country of Japan having to raise interest rates in order to control their own inflation would actually be more of a black swan situation?
They have a kind of an imported inflation because the yen is going down now for years. The imported goods are getting more and more expensive. They want to make investments more attractive, but it had a huge impact on the market. Yeah, and
absolutely. Yeah, I'd say a 13% drop in their stock market in one day, and a 4% drop in ours simply due to that is pretty massive. Do you think that the United States plunge protection team stepped in the day after the Japanese carry?
There was a 1 day loss, but 2 days later it was back. They recovered it. Yeah. So this was artificial.
That's essentially what I was getting at. Do you think that the United States plunge protection team stepped in to help prop up the American stock market after the Japanese carry trade began to affect us negatively?
National stabilization efforts to not to spill over to the other international markets. Yeah, I think where something happens. Yeah.
So you think there was substantial efforts from the United States government, the plunge protection team,
Also from Europe.
also from Europe? So both American and European central banks and government stepped in order to prevent our markets from being pulled down with Japan. Would that directly affect inflation?
The money supply would have been increased by that. Yes, yeah. The money is printed out of thin air for that. Of course, yeah.
Wow. And that's kind of what I was thinking as well, that it was going to affect us negatively one way or another, either through the value of your investments or through the actual devaluation of the US dollar due to that inflation.
So another issue in the US and also in Europe is the credit card debts are at the highs, yeah, like in 2008 to 2010. Yeah, this is very alarming because of the high inflation. People have to finance the living by more and more debt, and this is a kind of a death spiral. This is not a good development.
No, not at all. In 2008, I think Americans' credit card debt was right around $800 billion. And as of today, that number stands to around the all-time high of $1.3 trillion in credit card debt for American households. And you called it a death spiral. In your professional opinion, why do you call it a death spiral with the increasing credit card debt for low-income households?
Is you cannot escape. It's a kind of a financial matrix. You are trapped. It's no way out, and you become a slave of your debt. This is not a good development for the society if you are enslaved by the debt. Yeah.
Do you think that they're purposefully trying to enslave the 99% in the middle class through debt in order to achieve conformity?
So the decision to hyperinflate the economy was made when the Ukrainian war started, after the COVID crisis, after the Evergrande crisis. The governments, the central banks worldwide decided not to let the markets to consolidate. They decided to print more money. This cannot be reversed. Yeah, this is a highway to hell. Yeah, but it was a very easy decision made at that time. Unfortunately, the hyperinflation, according to me, you cannot avoid it anymore. Yeah, it's the only way out of the problem. And the indebtedness of the lower income and middle income class is part of it. Okay, so they lose all assets. That's the bad part.
Basically, for the federal government to get out of the situation they're in, they purposefully have been creating hyperinflation through the use of printing money and sending it overseas in order to make it easier to pay off the national debt. Is that it?
Correct. Yeah. So that's the process we are currently in, and it's not stoppable.
And as a byproduct, the middle class and the lower class lose all their assets and become poor. Klaus Schwab likes to say, "You will own nothing and be happy."
Yes.
That's fucking wild. And now I can definitely see why you're a big proponent in owning precious metals like gold and silver.
Only way out of matrix, the enslavement, is to set you free. Is the only way out.
The only way out of the financial matrix. Yes. With what we just discussed, here in the United States, there is a 40% capital gains tax. Kamala Harris is now talking about an additional 25% unrealized capital gains tax. knowing that and everything else that we've discussed, if you lived here in the United States, would you vote for Kamala Harris's policies?
It's easy to answer. It's against. It's not tolerable. So you would try to avoid it. To go out of the country, produce in Mexico or somewhere else, just to avoid it.
You're saying corporations and wealthy individuals will flee the country of the United States to avoid the unrealized capital gains tax. So it does not sound like a good economic policy.
I know. Yeah. It's not at all a good idea.
Thought so. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. And a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, that'd be a great idea. Tax the rich. Yeah, who cares if the ultra wealthy have to pay more? And I kept telling people on Twitter and YouTube, like, I'm sorry guys, that's not the way that works. There's plenty of other countries that don't have a ridiculous unrealized capital gains tax. Corporations over 100 million will take their jobs overseas. And people that have a net worth over 100 million, they're going to avoid the taxes, or they're going to take their money overseas as well. And all of that is going to flee the United States stock and bond and crypto markets, leave the middle class holding a bag of worthless excrement that is highly devalued due to hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars fleeing our financial markets in the U.S. Is that a fair assessment, would you say?
A very fair assessment, yes.
Thank you. It means a lot to me to hear a PhD economist's standpoint on this, opposed to, just, no offense, but random people on Twitter that believe it a good idea to, tax the rich. What's the status now on the Sirius gold coin?
Actually, we launched in February out of Dubai 5 security tokens. One of them is a gold token, and one is a silver, one is a gold mine. The gold mine token is now very, very interesting. We are starting to invest into in gold mine in Mexico. As I told you at the beginning, the gold mines are very cheap valued right now with the high gold price. Could be even more interesting when tech shares in the future. So it's a good time to invest into mines right now, according to our opinion.
We spoke briefly about Bitcoin being backed by nothing. Is your crypto token also backed by nothing?
Our crypto token is backed by a security, is a Swiss certificate. The Swiss certificates invest into physical gold, physical silver, into gold mine projects. Actually, we make sure that this is backed. This is the future. Once the financial system is breaking down, you still can trade with the tokens, and you are sure that it's backed by physical assets. This is the only way to become independent from the current financial system, and you have to keep that in mind. And this is the only alternative.
So Sirius crypto tokens are backed by precious metals, actual physical gold and silver. Let's say there's a financial meltdown and I want to take delivery of the physical silver or gold that I purchased through Sirius. Would that be possible?
Yes, we have the gold currently in Zurich, in the walls in Switzerland. And in our terms, we have a clause that you can claim your gold and silver to be delivered to you in your wallet. So this is very important.
That sounds pretty awesome, because a lot of people, like to invest in ETFs like SLV and PSLV, Sprott Physical Silver Trust, or, SLV, the exchange traded fund that is basically trading paper silver. Sirius is a crypto token that's actually backed by gold or silver, and people can actually take physical delivery if the shit hits the fan, theoretically speaking.
Yeah. I have to add, we are not available in the US and for US residents. We want to go into the US. We are currently looking for a strategic partner to go into the US. I think this will happen then in the next year. I think it has a great future if we are going towards the hyperinflation. People from all over the world can buy it except the US. So Canada is possible. Yeah.
Canadian and European and other people around the world can invest in Sirius gold crypto tokens backed by physical silver and gold and take delivery on it in the future should they choose to do so. What is the deal with American regulations on cryptocurrencies? What are your thoughts on that?
Is a kind of weird. So there was a development that every token is a security. So we got prepared for that. So our token is a security, but not licensed with the SEC, not in the US, what we are looking for. It reversed a little bit now. Ripple being not considered as a security is not clear. Hopefully with a new government, there will be clear rules for the market.
I hope there will be difference with a new government in place, because the current Securities Exchange Commission is even trying to make NFTs a security. So they're claiming that NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are a security. It seems like Kamala Harris administration has been saying that they would make Gary Gensler the head of the United States Treasury. Have you heard about that? It makes you laugh. I know, right? That's Kamala Harris's plan, if elected as president, is to make Gary Gensler the head of the United States Treasury. Hopefully, a new administration seems to be a lot more friendly towards cryptocurrencies. Donald Trump and Trump Jr. have even been speaking about changing cryptocurrency regulations for the better. I think that would definitely help out the American consumer and the worldwide consumer in general. Your response speaks volumes. You don't have to say any words, but your response speaks volumes in that. Yeah. Did you know that, by the way? No. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, Kamala Harris has come out and said that she'd make Gary Gensler the head of the U.S. Treasury, which I think is absolutely wild. So hopefully in the future, Serious Tokens and Lit Exchange can partner. Once you and I get all of our own, individual regulatory issues worked out, to be able to offer them as a security here in the United States. So I think that would be wonderful.
And looking forward cooperating with in the US as a broker dealer once we are in the US.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
You've been amazing, Dr. Metzler. We really appreciate all of your insights and your expertise. Thank you once again for joining us, and look forward to the next one. Hopefully, you'll be back before a major black swan destroys our frickin' markets.
Yeah, we will see what come up. What will come up.